Thank you so much for having me. And then I'll tell you a little bit more about my journey. It's been so inspiring. My journey with a bit of more of a personal angle and also against modern slavery came about. I am born and raised here in Onești in the northeast of Romania. And our claim for fame was that the first Olympic who ever took a 10 in the Olympics for gymnastics was Nadia Comaneci. So she put us on the map. But being born in Romania just after the revolution, when Romania became a democracy, it was going without saying that if you are good at school, no matter if you're a boy or a girl, your purpose is to get to the best high school you can, like the one I went, and study math and computer science. So that was what I did. I never questioned it. I got into this great class of math and computer science, half boys, half girls at the beginning. A lot of things have changed since then, but it was the thing that you have to do. Yet while I was in high school, I decided to try a few different things. And one of the most pivotal moments for me was that I got elected to represent the students from the high school. Then I got elected to represent the students from the country. And then I started working as the secretary of the National Student Union of Romania when I was around 16, 17. And that was the first time when I was going a little bit out of the bubble of Onești and understanding that there are ways in which you can work on policies and legislations. And I realized how little I understood about that world. And I was trying to go back to high school and to focus and learn more about that side to study politics or history, but that was not really possible because it was extremely competitive to study math and computer science, and you have not a lot of space to work with that. So this is when I decided that I will move from math and computer science, and I moved to study philology. And I graduated high school from philology, and I thought that that's it. That was my end of ever interacting with mathematics. So I got I decided to go to study my bachelor in Essex in the UK, and I decided to major in international relations. But talking, and I'll do that a bit throughout this presentation, about being the right person in the right time, at the right time in the right place, or vice versa. And this was one of the cases when I was in the right time, in the right place. In 2013, the UK government was piloting this project where they wanted to teach social science students quantitative methods. So in the first year of university, we had a course called Introduction to Statistics. And because of the background that I had in mathematics, and because it was the first time I was reconnected with them after so many years, I ended up being in top of that class. And then the teacher offered to do a minor degree in advanced quantitative method. So this is when I was reconnecting with this side that I was really enjoying even from back in high school. In my third year, I decided to go to Hong Kong for an exchange. And here I was studying politics and public administration. And for the first time, I was introduced to the topic of modern slavery. And this was one of the moments when, as I started reading more about this phenomenon, about this very complex crime, I could not stop. But I knew when I have to come back to Essex for my fourth year, I needed to write my final bachelor thesis that had to have a very high quantitative component. So again, I go to my teachers and I say, I want to write about modern slavery. And unfortunately, my principal supervisor at the time, she said, look, you're going to fail your degree. There is not enough data about modern slavery. You cannot do that. Go for a safer option. But then my other teacher, who was my teacher in statistics that I went to, saying, I really want to do this. I need to study this. I don't want to do anything else. He said, if you don't want to be a sheep, don't be a sheep. If you want to take the responsibility of this with the risk that you can fail your degree, do that. But I encourage you to take the risk and do it. So what I've done then, I start emailing all the single organizations that I know that they were collecting any data about modern slavery and ask them to share that with me for my thesis. So luckily, the Walk Free Foundation, who just published at that point the Global Slavery Index, they are based here in Australia, in Perth. They say, look, you can have this data, just reference us. So I wrote my thesis on how transparency in supply chain management can improve the measurements of modern slavery. And actually, this thesis became, was quite well received, and it allowed me to get a full scholarship to go and study a master in international public management in Paris. And this was a very practical master, and I was specializing in human rights and emerging economies because I understood that I need to approach this complex issue of modern slavery from a lot of different angles where I needed to upskill. And yet he was one of the classes that I was doing at a point called Digital Methods for Digital Spaces. So we're learning to use already done softwares to analyze tweets and social media data. And when I was doing that course, I realized, wait a second, data doesn't always come in Excel spreadsheets. It can also be images or text. So I decided to ask if I could do a thesis, a master thesis, which was not allowed at that stage. So I can dive into some reports that businesses are publishing where they explain what they're doing to tackle slavery in their supply chain and unlock that data. And again, I needed to find somebody to support me with this. And luckily, I found a professor at Sciences Po Media Lab who said, look, Adriana, I don't know anything about modern slavery, but if you want to learn to code, I'll help you with that. And this was in 2017, so way before the pandemic. And I asked, okay, thank you, but can I do this thesis remotely? And that was pretty unusual at that time, but he said, okay, you can do that. The reason why I was asking is because throughout this entire period, all I've been doing is emailing the Walk Free Foundation here in Australia saying, please have me for an internship. And they say, Adriana, we can't pay you to get you all the way from Europe here, and you don't have the visa, you don't have the right to work here, you cannot come to Australia. And then as I got this scholarship from Sciences Po and I had 6 months to do the thesis, I came to Australia and I email again Walk Free Foundation and I say, I'm here, I want to do an unpaid internship, I just come and volunteer for you, please just have me in your office. So they say, okay, if you're here, you can come and see us. So as I arrived in Australia, I learned to code and I was building this prototype throughout my master thesis. And at the end of my volunteering with Walk Free, I said, look, I'm also doing this thesis, can I present them to you? And at this point, I was just using unsupervised machine learning, doing some topic modeling. And they say, Adriana, this is great. You'll make a good paper. We will read it. But if you really want to help us, you have to build solutions that allow us to go into each document and extract the information that we need. They say, can you do that? And I said, yes, sure, absolutely. I had no idea how to do it, but I went back to Paris and I have done that in a few months. I built a prototype. It was all working somehow. And then in Sciences Po, when you defend your thesis, you have a jury. And as I defended this thesis, the president of the Future Society, which is a think tank incubated in Harvard or dealing with the ethical governance of artificial intelligence, was part of the jury. So the thesis was really well received. And then he said, why don't you bring this project to us and we can help you to manage it and build a team. And then I send the thesis back to the Walk Free Foundation and they say, well, Adriana, we're happy to fund this. So then we all came together. So for about 2 years and a bit, we were working together on this project, trying to do more explorations. And then we made everything open source. And we won this award together. So this is how Project AIMS came together. And as we are wrapping up this project, I get, again, right place, right time. I get the chance to meet Kerry here in Brisbane. And Kerry said, why don't you apply for a PhD and continue doing this work here at the Centre for Data Science and continue building on this work. And now we're moving forward with this project here at QUT, also in partnership with Mila in Canada. So to wrap up for today, I have 2 very opposite messages to say, or from very different extremes. There's been a lot of inspiring messages said, and I would like to start by acknowledging that throughout this entire journey that I had many people that have supported me and inspired me and helped me be where I am today. But there are 2 particular women that I would like to thank. And on the shoulders that I am sitting today. And they are my grandma, who she has never had the opportunity to study because she had to look after her younger siblings, and therefore she has been all her life completely illiterate. Yet she makes sure that my mom would be in school. Yet unfortunately, even if my mother had the perfect grades at the end of high school, she was not allowed to go to university because she had to work and look after her younger siblings. Yet my mother made sure that my brother and I will be the first first generation university graduate. And every time we get a degree, she says that she's graduating with us. And without them giving me the opportunity to be in school and have the basics done, I would have never had the opportunity to travel the world and meet all these people and do and live this life that they couldn't even have dreamed about. So before we try to inspire girls, let's make sure we keep girls in schools, we give them access to education, and we keep them in school. So that's my first takeaway. And my second, on the other extreme, we need more representation. So if you see women that are doing incredible work, and especially in the field of artificial intelligence, we should celebrate them, promote them, and reward them. And there are lots of opportunities, such as the Women in AI Awards that they're presented here, where we can put them on the right stage and give them the recognition they need. Thank you so much for having me here today, and I look forward to listen to the next presentation.